Thank you very much. Welcome and good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for staying to the end and catching us in here. So yes, today we're going to talk about ChronosHub, which is one of the other solutions that we have. We're working on at Lancaster University to help with open access management going forwards. I'm Chris Adams, and this is
Louise.
Louise. So today we're going to go more about Lancaster and then the need for maximising research access and research management. That's something we'll go through more of that, but that's saying why we need to have a team working with that open access coming in. And then we'll talk about how ChronosHub is progressing so far, what successes we've had, and what future developments are going to be coming across. Okay, so more about Lancaster. We're located in the scenic northwest of England. We have about 16,000 students, 3,000 staff, and we process about 3,000 research outputs each year. We're frequently ranking in the top 15 of university institutions in the UK. We've used Pure since 2011, so we've had it for 13 years, working on with various different solutions. So we predate Elsevier when it comes to using Pure as the CRIS system. Okay, we started working with ChronosHub last year, and we'll go through how we've been getting on with that soon. And Louise's team in the library have recently won the outstanding library things in 2022. Okay, so why do we need to maximise open access and research management? So there are lots of, everybody has different open access requirements, whether it's from the UK government during our ref submissions, which is where we have to submit something every 7 years to the UK government about our research excellence frameworks, whether it's the individual funders who say that we have to publish or embargo things for so much time, or the publishers themselves, which have different rights and requirements. Even within those, there's variations on every single grant and every type of research output that we have across the university, whether the students are being involved, on and on. There's a lot of different requirements and how you guys keep up with it. I've got no idea because I've blanked as soon as you say. Okay. And because of that, it is labour intensive that everybody has to go in, track exactly which requirements are needed for every single paper that's coming through. So the team has to progress that. It keeps going and going. Like I said, it's how do you find which publishing agreements are valid. At the moment, we're relying on the knowledge inside people's heads, trying to work out which ones apply and which ones don't. And if the library doesn't know what's going on, the researchers don't. So they come to us and just say, please help, throw things at us, and then we come along. At the moment, all of this is going through a manual data process, spreadsheets, working out what matches up with where and coming on. And because it's all in various spreadsheets and all being done manually, we can't run the metadata analysis of what's going on.
This is over
our
to me.
solution. So we shall pass over to Louise.
Okay. So I should also add that at Lancaster we've got a small open access team. So it's me as open access manager. I've got a 0.9 of an open access administrator, and I have one person validating all the records in Pure with the occasional help, but that's not consistent. So we were looking at having an open access management solution. We went out to tender, and this was the only one that came back, so ChronosHub. And you can see there, I'll try and go through all this very quickly, but the whole idea of ChronosHub is that it goes through the whole publication cycle. So from submission, pre-submission, choosing the journal that you want to publish in, having help with that. So there's a journal guide element to it. So there are lots of different elements to ChronosHub that you can choose to pay for, or you can just select one element. So the journal guide checks funder compliance. It gives you a list of journals. You can have a look at what's included in our read and publish agreements, which we have a lot of in the UK at the moment. And then when you come to pay for gold open access, then there's an invoice, an article processing charge management system as well. And I'll go into more detail with different screenshots in a minute. Another element of it that feeds into the journal guide is the agreement manager and the monitoring of it. So you can add all the read and publish agreements to it and then monitor the usage and publication details in there. And then eventually, and then Chris will talk about this a bit more after, is that adding full text deposits and how that will sync up with Pure. So this is the idea. Where we are, progress so far. So yes, we've got a journal guide. So we have this, adding our branding. So there are different things that you can do with it. You can search for a specific journal. If you've got something in mind, you can filter by subject area, select funder to check compliance, and then you can also filter, just have a look at journals that are included in our read and publish agreements. So I've just taken screenshots just to guide you through. So that's looking for a specific journal. You can see at the bottom it tells you that it's included in one of our institutional agreements, and we try and get, that's customizable, so you can include any information. So very keen to get that CC BY license information in there. You can narrow down, so let me just highlight. So you can select funder as well. So this is easy to check compliance. So the idea is the researcher can do this. And then it includes a check against the journal checker tool. And oh, that was that. So you can do combinations of lots of different things. What's really good that they've added recently is filtering to journals that are included with agreements. Now we did have two separate funds for open access, a UKRI block grant and then an institutional fund, which we piloted last year. It was so successful that all the money's gone. So if you haven't got money, then it's really important to filter down to the agreements to see where people can publish free of charge. So that's highlighted there. So the second part of it is managing invoices. So we used to send things off to our finance department and they'd disappear, and then it'd delay publication if they weren't paid on time. So what we do now is we upload invoices to ChronosHub and they're paid on a weekly basis. And again, there's further screenshots. So the idea is there is a widget, and again, everything always takes longer than you think. So we're still collaborating with our tech people, our tech department, to try and get this little widget embedded on our web pages, and you would not believe how long it is taking. But the idea is that the author, they put in their email address. So if it recognises a Lancaster one, it takes you to the next step, asks you which venue you're publishing in, what license you're using, and it does checks as you go through, so you can set this up to suit. You can put research council in, and then, so this is your invoice file that you can upload. And when that's uploaded, the author, well, we get an email to the open access team to say, we've got an invoice to go and look and approve. The author gets an email as well, so that's from our inquiry system, just saying that it's come to us for approval. And then we go into, so that's the ChronosHub, the admin side of things. So we can go into the approval dashboard. We can open up this article. It will give us more details here, tell us how much, because it's already ingested the information from the invoice, tells us how much it is. It will highlight, that it's included. We've got a discount, so if we have got money available, then potentially we can pay for that. And then it just flags up that funder information to us. So we can use our block grant for that one. So we would go ahead and approve.
Or reject if you can.
Yeah, you can. But for this one we would. You've got we can send little messages as well. So we'd already had an email from the author as well. So we've just sent them a little message. You can choose which account it goes through. And then when we've approved quite a lot on there, so you get the summary within your dashboard, what has been approved and what's been rejected. And then what we're actually doing at the moment, because the widget thing hasn't been embedded, is we're adding things manually ourselves. So there is that option within ChronosHub. So you just create a new funding request. You can add, if you've got DOI, it will populate certain fields automatically. At the moment, because it's not synced up with Pure yet, is it? So some of this information isn't necessarily feeding through, but it will do. So that's why the things are in red with email addresses and things. So we're manually adding that, but that will improve. And then, yes, so it just populates this information, goes through for funding, so it might populate it if we've got details within the document that we've uploaded, but if not, we just add that in there. And then, yeah, so we've got the invoice, we upload that invoice document, and then it will show. So in the same way with the author workflow. And then we'd go in and approve that one as well. So just to show you that we've got 2 accounts set up. So we've deposited some of our block grant into that account, and we've got the institutional account there. So we can see at a glance exactly how much money we've got, what invoices have gone out for payment, and they go out on a weekly basis. So we deposit the money in the account, and then ChronosHub just pays all the invoices. Then the separate bit that I said was feeding into the information on the journal guide is the agreement monitor, the agreement manager, sorry. So you can see here we've got a list of agreements that we've input. I've picked out Elsevier, of course. So we've got that read and publish that will be extended for next year. And we can just put whatever text we want that will appear in the journal guide. You add your own criteria. It's a read and publish agreement. There might be like a discount agreement. You can set that up in there, the start and end date. And then you can specify what licenses you want to potentially approve. And then the journals are uploaded. That was a challenge initially. And it's trying to get that source of journal titles. So, and then I'm on to future.
So again, this is still under full development. We're still looking in. So all the fields that you've seen aren't the full final product. If we decide we want any additional fields being put in at any different stage, we can work with the developers to keep adding different bits of getting information. The idea is that we will synchronize with Pure in the end. So when the authors are inputting things into ChronosHub to begin with, to request permissions and payments for the various different journals to be publishing, that author accepted manuscript will be pulled into Pure, create a Pure record, and it will be checking with the person ID, the ORCID ID, the email address, and the affiliations as the sort of multi-factor checking to make sure we've got the right person. And then, so it's an idea that it mostly feeds into Pure, but we have an initial upload where we have the Pure IDs being stored, being uploaded from our records into ChronosHub, so we've got unique IDs that are already matching working forwards. There's various reasons it's been delayed, because ours is behind a firewall, we haven't migrated to the cloud, so many other things, but that's coming in. But once we've got that final end product working in, we'll be next working on the dashboards, so that not only can Louise and her team quickly see at a glance what's working on, but we can give those details to heads of department, research directors and so on, so we can quickly see which departments are paying for which journals, if they're coming up, if they're picking the expensive journals coming in, and we can start having those discussions why. Funding requests coming in. Again, as Louise said, we're still going through and working out how we manage our internal pots of money when we're being awarded different pots of money, and how that integrates with our finance systems. But you can see there's a lot of room for development on a product that's already working for us and going forwards. Okay. So having a quick look at the various different dashboards, you can see how we're trying to collate these different visualizations and put things quickly in the face coming forwards. And yeah, automatic consolidations. We're trying to remove as many duplications. There's this, 5 minutes running. Coming in. At the moment, there's still some Excel uploading and downloading whilst we're working on the migrations, getting them all in. But we want to get this as automated as possible, finding the right sources of information, whether some of the journal information is being curated within Pure that then uploads into ChronosHub or vice versa. There's lots of different options that we're still exploring. Yep. So the idea is that that's this next set that we're working on in this final quarter of this year coming up, but if we don't quite make it, we've got some flexibility with it, and it's primarily trying to see where people are affiliated with the grants in Pure, whether we can match that information coming up into ChronosHub so we can automatically affiliate the papers with the right research grants, but also the funding coming in. So we've got a part from UKRI to pay for certain open access requirements. Using this, we can quickly see which papers are being funded by UKRI and then whether they're eligible for the agreement. At the moment, it's involved downloading 2 or 3 different Excels, looking up between the different things.
Yeah, we've got a clunky, well, we've got a web page with a long list,
Yes.
but you've just got to manually look through spreadsheets.
Things. And yeah, that's how we're coming up. But yeah, the more we explore and the more we get to work, the more we can add to it to enrich the data for both ourselves and for the academics when they're starting the journey of looking for where do I publish. Okay, so thank you for listening. Any questions? Yeah.
Thank you very much. We have a couple of minutes for your questions, please. Then
I actually
Simon.
I had a question.
You go
actually.
ahead.
I wanted to find out. So, your OA monitors based upon the agreements, and I'm just curious. Do researchers also practice green OA at your institution, and does the monitor also take that into account if the researchers have made a deposit to one of your repositories?
Not yet, but I think with the Pure integration, then green open access will be a more important part of it. So I think one of the issues we have at the moment with green open access with our academics is using Pure, they don't necessarily fill in all the fields where we need the information. So I think we're going to customize that little form, the widget, where they can do that and then get that in. But we've got a rights retention policy at Lancaster, so we do encourage green open access, but yeah.
As much as possible, it feeds in and then goes through for the, not just the open access compliance for the agreements coming in, but also pre-looking at forwards for the ref integration as well, and being able to pull in the fields of when things were first publicly available and whether we've got various different agreement levels in and exceptions. Yeah,
and we pay for a lot of gold open access as well, just outside of, outside of the agreements with the fully open access journals. So yeah, it's good so we can see, get an overview of everything, eventually.
Hopefully.
How has the researchers approached this? And
they've liked the journal guide, so that's what we've started with.
But the rest of it?
Will
it be mandatory to go this way, so you ensure that you will get it through Pure, or could they go?
No, they can go either way.
Yeah, well, they'll be strongly encouraged to go the other way through the guidance and being entered it in, but we spent 13 years drilling into their heads to put it into Pure. So we know there's going to be some crossover time of where things get entered in, but we can run reports of things that have been created in Pure within the last week or so, and then the library team can have a look at those, pick out which ones, and then we've got that manual way that Louise showed you for adding the invoices and agreements in for the library team. But as soon as we start getting more people starting I mean, even being able to look and identifying which journals to begin with is already
Yeah,
saving a
that's-
huge amount of admin
Get so many
time.
queries, yeah, and it's good just to direct them there and they can see for themselves.
Yeah, because they,
But-
especially early career researchers, just don't know where to
No.
begin. So having
No.
something they can look at that gives them, this is roughly how much it would cost to publish in this one compared to this one, and yeah, hopefully we'll add more and more metrics and citations so they can see it costs more money but it's more prestigious versus it's cheap.
Doesn't matter,
because
Chris.
we-
Prestige doesn't matter.
of course not.
Yeah, I should also say that ChronosHub are trying to link up with as many publishers as possible, so with their submission systems. So hopefully that would, yeah, it's easier for the academic not to go to different points.
Yeah, we want it to be
but
a
yeah.
single point of
Yeah.
entry for
Yeah.
everything that talks to lots of different
Yeah.
things. So.
Any more questions? I have
Ooh,
one.
yeah.
Other than the pure hosting migration earlier this year, were there
Yeah.
any other unforeseen circumstances
Oh.
or obstacles that slightly delayed the project?
Well, I think actually for it to go out for tender took forever. And then when we actually got the system, there were a few technical things on their part. So yeah, but then we're buying those out. So I think we're the first UK institution. So we knew that we were like development partner really. So
Yeah, there were some data protection agreements that had
Yeah,
to be
they-
ironed out. The being able to use our cosign system so that they can automatically just click on the link and get logged in to the things sat behind certain firewalls, and they
that
didn't have
took
the
a while,
right
didn't it?
permissions, and we're using the wrong connectors for that one to begin with. But most people are using what we're using for logging in. So if we get it to work, it'll work for more people a lot
Yeah.
faster.
It's a lot better.
Yeah, we're treading on every landmine across the field to clear the pathways, but we're getting there.
All right, let's thank our speakers.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.